So today's kind of bittersweet because if you're watching this, then you probably already know that I'm putting my fifth wheel. This is the Jayco Pinnacle 37 MDQS. I'm putting it up for sale. Now let me answer the first question, and that is why. That's probably the most common question that I anticipate getting, and I'm not going to bore you with the long story, but in short, we have as a family used this fifth wheel primarily for vacations. We don't live in it full time, so it's mainly been resort style vacations where you go somewhere for, at least a weekend, more often a week or so, and just relax and enjoy and have a nice vacation. And we're planning on changing our camping style or travel style, more on that in the future, but that is why I am selling the fifth wheel. So the purpose of today's video is not to give a detailed tour or anything like that. It's really just to show what are you getting with my fifth wheel specifically. And I don't know if you've noticed in the background, but there are Post-its up everywhere. I went through almost a full pad of Post-its, and that's just to help me because I'm not a salesman, I'm not a professional. Hopefully those Post-its will prompt me on what I need to share with you, and that is what makes this fifth wheel different than any other Pinnacle or mid-bunk or fifth wheel on the market. Because let's face it, you might be looking at the asking price and thinking, what are you crazy? You're not going to get that, right? And so really today's video is to help you see what makes this fifth wheel different. How is it different than all the other ones available secondhand or even new? How is it different than the new 2024 Pinnacles? Why should you choose mine over all the others? And so I went through almost a full pad of these, and I'm going to go through all those features. It's going to be really quick. If you're interested in more of a tour, walk through that sort of thing, I'll put some other links in the description below and cards up above for that. All right, so with that, we're going to start on the inside first and then go to the outside. And again, I'm going to be looking at these Post-its to remind me of what I need to share with you. So if I miss any, definitely let me know in the comments below. Let's just start over here in the dinette area. You'll notice that on these chairs down here, there's no ugly straps or anything that you have to remember to detach, and that is because there is a chair buddy over here. And basically what that does, it's an alternative way to lock down the chairs. It's pneumatic basically, and it locks down the chairs that way. So that is the chair buddy, kind of a nice feature. Then you've got a nice bench here that is matched to the chairs and everything. This works really great for 4 people. You can put the kids on the bench. Of course, I do have the other 2 chairs that it came with originally there. All right, moving down here, we've got another Post-it back here. All these are updated to USB-C. So you've got both USB-A and C on the charging right there. Then as we swing around over here, on all these drawers, you're gonna have retaining clips that keep these shut in transit. So from the factory, these are soft close, but when you weight them down with stuff, you're gonna find in transit they wanna open up and of course bang into your island and everything. And so all these have retainer clips that basically keep them shut all the way down here. And then same story over here on the trash can side. So that way you don't have to worry about these opening up in transit. Then over here you've got a nice Paykel dishwasher, very nice. Did a whole video on this one, absolutely love this product. So that's something that's very unique. Even in the 24s, they are putting dishwashers in there standard, but it's not a Paykel. It's another brand. I really think this is the supreme, the best one to go with there. All right, over here we've got another one. This used to be blinds here, and now it's a nice matching roller shade like the rest of the coach there. Then as we pan upwards, let's see, I put that one up there to remind me that all the ducts are sealed. They've been sealed with mastic inside, so you don't have to worry about air leaking into the attic and losing some of that cold air when you're conditioning there. Over here, of course, Jayco has the 5-gallon jug on the filtered water. However, it's very noisy from the factory. Mine has been silenced, so it's nice and quiet. You barely hear it. Over here, we've got wireless charging, a nice little pop-up power station. And so this is a really nice addition there. And then let's see if we swing over here on the refrigerator, small detail, but the refrigerator doesn't swing open and bang into this door because there's something on top of there that stops it. So it's kind of a nice feature to have. All right, I'm looking around. I think I got all the different pink Post-it notes in here. Let's go on into the mid-bunk. All right, so in here, we've got a fold-down desk tray here, so you can kind of use it like a keyboard. It's kind of hard to do one-handed, but you can put a keyboard here. It's like a keyboard tray and a mouse, and just works really nice then with a monitor here. Jayco gives you one. I upgraded it to a higher resolution, so it works better with a computer then. You've also got USB-C charging there as well. And then I've got one on the floor over here, which is kind of an odd position, but this bunk room has been balanced both on the heating and cooling. So now this room tracks with the rest of the coach with both the heating, the furnace running, and the cooling. You'll see that extra large duct up here, 6-inch duct, a lot more CFM, a lot more airflow coming through here. I believe that's everything in the mid bunk. Let's head on down the hallway here. So you can see first on the door here, we've got a special lock. Been testing this one out and I really like it a lot. It's an Onnais lock, and so you can watch the video on that. I do have the original Bauer keyless lock as well. So, you know, I'll give you both just because it's key to like. This one has its own little key fobs. It's really pretty slick. Let me pull it out so you can see. But it's got these nice, really automotive style key fobs. The key is built into it. You just pull it out just like a car. So that is pretty slick there. Then inside our storage here, small detail, but there's an extra shelf here that matches all the shelves down here. Just gives you a little bit more storage for shoes and things like that. Then up top, of course, you've got the BM Pro system. For those curious, my battery was just replaced in the last couple months, and this thing's been running like a champ now. And then we got a mysterious switch up here. I'll show you more about that when we get to the bedroom, but basically this powers the observation camera in the rear and then the 2 side cameras. So no longer you'd have to have your clearance lights on. You just flip this switch on and off, and that powers all the cameras. So it doubles as a security system when you're at your campsite. Now you'll notice over here, there's something missing here, the screen door. And I took it off. I do have it, and I will include it. So if you want it, you can put it back on, of course, or I can do it for you. But I basically have a Velcro screen that's down in here that has a magnetic closure, and it just Velcros to the perimeter of the door. And I find it a lot more enjoyable, less clumsy going in and out. It's kind of split on the third right here where the lock set is. And so I did a full video on that, but it's really slick and just an alternative to having a screen door. So again, I got the original one though, if you don't like that. Then down here, we've got solid hardwood steps here. These steps from the factory have some kind of film that's been kind of shrunk over the steps, and what happens is it doesn't shrink into these grooves for traction. So then when feet get in there, it cracks the outer film. And then you have this ugly, you know, chip or crack in the film. So I just went ahead and remade my steps out of solid hardwood. And they look very much like the original factory steps, real nice and thick and beefy. And they have the exact same tread pattern kind of routed in there as slots. But these are gonna last forever. You're not gonna have to worry about replacing those. Then over here, I did replace the demon-possessed motion light. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. And then let's move up here into the mid-bunk area. We've got a shade over there that's been replaced instead of the curtain, so it's got a roller shade just like everywhere else. And we've got a real simple little vent shade. You can block out the light if you want to. And of course, all the vents on the roof have covers on them as well. All right, let's swing around here to the bathroom area and take a look what's different inside of here. All right, so right here we've got a bidet, and I'll just say, if you know, you know. This is an off-grid bidet. It is heated. It's got a nice little, basically a valve right here that regulates and mixes hot and cold water so that you get a nice pleasant temperature there, and you can control that. Basically just set it and forget it. But it works off the grid completely based on your hot water heater providing water, and it's a really nice feature there. And then this one's a pretty small detail, but you've got a soft close lid. I got to thank Wandering Woodchuck for that idea. If you aren't following him, go ahead and do so. He's got a lot of wisdom as an experienced RVer. Nothing really big to point out up here, but I will mention on the ceiling, I did add another puck light, just like all the rest of them. It just seemed a little bit dark over there in the shower, and so it's kind of lined up with the one that was over the toilet. And then I did the same thing. I think I had to buy a 6-pack of them, so I enlarged the ones that were above the vanity here just to make this space all a little bit brighter. Then if we swing around here, we've got a dimmer. So I figured if I'm making it brighter, there might be some people that say, ooh, that's too much light. Well, no problem. You just use this little slider switch right here to dim it as needed. Now you might be wondering, well, you only have one switch here. From the factory it has 2 and the 24s have 3. What's missing, right? And so I actually switched out this vent fan up here for one that's powered on the open close, because that's not a standard feature, believe it or not, from the factory. Even in the 24s, that's my understanding, you have to manually crank the lid open and closed every time you want to use the vent fan here. So that is powered by this nice little remote that you're probably familiar with on the wall there. So I believe that's everything in the bathroom. Let's head over here to the bedroom. And we've got a couple Post-its down here. So we've got a charging center that's been updated with USB-C, some high-powered USB-C ports over there. So that's pretty nice. And then we've got a switch right here. Jayco puts this little accent down here, this floor accent, together with the bathroom one, which is really nice at night because you can leave it on kind of like a night light. But for some of us, we only want it in the bathroom. We don't want it in the bedroom as well because it's just too much light. You can, of course, dim these through the BM Pro system. But what I've done is added this little switch here so that you can turn off the bedroom but still have the one on in the bathroom. We typically dim it at night, and then it has kind of like a nice little night light. It's tied into the ring on the sink here. So that's pretty nice. And then, like I mentioned before, you've got a security system basically with all those cameras that doubles. So you can go tap around here to your left one here. You can see a Post-it note kind of flopping, and then your right here or your rear. So that's a pretty nice feature to be able to use that. And I do have the AC adapter to power it off 120 volt power there. Then over here on the bed, you know, the mattress from the factory Jayco gives you, it's actually pretty decent, but after about a year or so, we ended up replacing it with a Casper mattress. And so it's very comfortable. You know, it's not too firm, not too soft. It's a real comfortable mattress there. And then of course the struts on the bed, lifting it up, have been upgraded because, as you know, when you upgrade the mattress, if it's heavier, the factory struts typically won't support it. So that's been upgraded where it's just the right firmness, you can see here, to push down and lift up easily. So that's really nice there. Over here, we've got, this is pretty recent, but this is a second BM Pro tablet added to the coach, so that maybe if you're having issues for whatever reason with the main tablet and you need something real quick to get to, well, you've got a second one here. And I find it very unlikely that both of them will be acting up at the same time. So it's kind of nice just to have a second one here. Plus it's in the bedroom. So if you want to real quick adjust the climate or, you know, change some of the lights, they're all right here at your fingertips, in addition, of course, to all those buttons there. All right, let's pop around here to the next one. It looks like we've got right here to remind me to open up this. So this is kind of an interesting problem to solve, is how do you fit a DVD player in the way Jayco laid this out? It looks really nice and everything, but how do you fit that? So what I did is made a little slot over here for the Blu-ray player to spit the disc out, and you can put them in vertically just like that, but it's trimmed out real nicely and hidden and real discreet looking, and of course all that's wired up into the TV. So you've got a Blu-ray player, and it's one of those smart Sony ones, so you can do some other internet streaming stuff as well. Then over here you'll notice we've got a beautiful LG washer dryer combo. This is a ventless, so it's a condensing model. You don't have an ugly hole on the outside of your RV in the front. This one is LG. It's a brand that, you know, is very well rated in the washer dryer space in general, and it fits. It fits in this opening. I mean, I had to really make some modifications to make all this work, but it fits. But the more important detail is down here you've got a proper drain pan, so that if anything goes haywire and water starts leaking out of the washer dryer here, that water is not going to end up here. There's a drain that goes off to the side behind this wall and then down outside by the pin box. So all that water is going to properly be evacuated. So it's a really nice feature. While I'm thinking of it, this entire front cap area has been insulated in addition to what the factory had. When I was doing all these modifications, I noticed that the insulation wasn't the best in there. And so I put about 50 to 60 square feet of rock wool. So the R value there is probably well over R15 now. And I have noticed that this whole closet, it doesn't get super hot in the summer or super cold like it used to. Over here, and I'll talk about this more when we get outside, but this is a convenient switch added to turn off your front cap light. So instead of having to go all the way outside, now you've got a switch in here with a blue light to let you know that it's on, so that, you know, at nighttime you're not keeping your neighbors awake, because it is pretty bright. You got a safe down here, pretty basic there, but it's nice to have your valuables. And I think that is about it in the closet area and the bedroom. I'm going to walk through real quickly and see if there's any notes that I'm missing, but I believe we covered everything. So I'll give you one last look going out here, and then we'll hit the outside. Okay, so on the outside, and again guys, I'm going to try to keep this pretty fast just for the sake of time. But first up, we've got, let's see if I can do this one-handed. Outside with the TV that they give you, a nice sound bar insignia has been added to it, along with, I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of dark, but there is another Sony Blu-ray player that's mounted back here. That's all wired into all this, so it just makes it really nice if you want to use this to watch something outside. So that's all been done for you already. And then let's see, I've got to post it down here to remind me that yes, you do get these BM Pro TPMS sensors, but if you've got a Ram pickup truck with the trailer tire pressure monitoring system, these stems have that embedded. So basically inside the tire is a conventional automotive TPMS sensor that reads into the Ram EVIC, the cluster kind of between behind your steering wheel. So that's pretty slick. All 4 tires basically will read in if you have a Ram. Again, I don't think it's compatible with any other brands, but if you got a Ram, that's kind of a nice bonus to be able to monitor all that seamlessly. Of course, we've got the nice safety rail here that's been added. It's really a nice invention. I think it got invention of the year, if I'm not mistaken. And then right here, you'll notice the Torklift Glowstep Revolution Uprising. Kind of a mouthful, but I love these steps. I got the opportunity to test these out from Torklift, and I love them so much that I left them on here. What's so slick about it is normally I would have to leave, I think it was well over 50 inches, it might have been 55 inches, I forget, of clearance between the sidewall here and the RV in order to fold down the conventional drawbridge style steps. It's really a pain. Plus, when you go some places, there's an obstacle in the way of where they fold down. These, you have the flexibility to deploy them at different rates. You know, you can make them really steep and narrow if you need to at a rest area, or you can pull them all the way out. Plus, it's got another booster step down there. So if you've got a situation where you just got more height here between your entry, your threshold, and the ground, you just add a 5th step. So that's pretty slick. Then up here, here's the outside of that Onnais lock here. Really like this a lot. We've taken it out and traveled with it, and it's performed very well. So again, I've got the original Bauer keyless one as well. If you want, let's see, we've got a screen on the awning, one of those little privacy screen panels that's on the main awning up here, and so that's all included. And then here we've got a Blackstone. Now, you know, Jayco used to have an exclusive agreement to be the only one that could distribute these with their units, and then I think they ran into supply issues. All that to say, I do have the Blackstone, so if you're into that, this one does have it. I really love that, by the way. That feature, after Jayco introduced me to the Blackstone, that's what I cook on at home. I built an Overlander recently and got one of those for the Overlander, so it's really a lot of fun to cook on that. That's probably where we did, I would say, 80 to 90% of the cooking. We didn't do much of it inside. It was really out here most of the time. All right, I've got 2 notes down here. So the first one is to remind me about the underlighting that you're seeing here. And this is tied into the BM Pro system. So you can turn that on and off, dim it and everything. It just creates a nice ambience at your campsite where maybe you don't want the bright, strips up there on. And so that's that. And then I also have a second one to remind me that the underbelly here has been sealed up. And so this is something that if you're one of my subscribers, you know that it's very important to me to have a sealed underbelly so that bugs and mice and for that matter just stale air can't get into your coach, because there are penetrations between your basement where the underbelly is and your main living space, and that's why so many times when you turn on your exhaust fan you feel warm air, especially where the steps are coming in, and that's because it's coming through that underbelly. So this one's been sealed up. It's performed really well. There are some tiny little weep holes along the center so that if you would develop a leak, you wouldn't just be filling up like a giant pool, inside the underbelly. That's all been done for you. Okay, let's look at the basement storage. We've got in here 3 of them. Let's see, first one, we've got some extra lighting in here. Really makes it easier to find things. There's kind of a U-shaped LED strip going all the way around. Of course, we've got the Victron, the BMV 712 Bluetooth battery monitor there, so you can pull it up on your phone, see where your battery is, how much you've got left based on your usage. Got an extra 12-volt port, USB added in there as well. Of course, you got a nice storage tray here. This pulls out really nice and far and just makes it a whole lot easier to get access to everything and keep everything organized there in the basement. You got a nice little outdoor faucet that actually plugs in to your spray port over here, so it kind of supplements or complements rather to the outside kitchen. And then let's slide this open. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I'm gonna try to make this quick, but you got the power Watchdog, so you don't have to bring along a surge protector with you. It's all built in here, and that'll protect if the voltage drops too high or too low. That's gonna cut the power to your coach. Of course, it's Bluetooth as well. Got some extra outlets in there. Notice how all the wires, the pipes, everything in here has been labeled so that if you do have a problem of any kind, hopefully never would happen, hasn't happened to me, anything major at least, but you can real quickly assess what everything is and diagnose the problem. So basically this whole basement area has been cleaned up drastically, the plumbing and the electrical, so that you just have a lot more space if you wanted to put something in here, but also just a lot cleaner looking as well. Just a little cover for the BM Pro kind of insurance to protect it if you ever did develop a leak down here. I never have, but if you ever did, at least this is kind of like an umbrella to protect it there. So I think that's pretty much everything on this side. We'll hit a couple other things on the opposite side. Of course, inside here you got your big propane tanks, and they have the Bluetooth monitoring that ties into the BM Pro system there. So that's pretty nice. We'll hop over here. So I did order mine with the Cummins, the Onnais, the 5500. It's LP, of course. So that's really nice because you can go to a rest area, crank up 2 ACs, use a microwave, and do all that off our propane. And then over here, we've got 2 Battleborn 100 amp hour batteries. So that's really nice. You've got 200 amp hours total. Of course, you can run these all the way to 0 if you needed to, and basically gives you plenty of time on travel days with the refrigerator, or maybe you want to do some boondocking. At least you've got to start here with 200 amp hours. Over here, I've added a true disconnect. The factory disconnect leaves some things on. It's up in the other propane bank up there, but I've got a true disconnect there that cuts literally everything off down to the batteries. So that's pretty nice. And then coming out here, of course, you've got your neon tube light that I talked about. This has been replaced and sealed properly so that you don't have to worry about water getting into either side. It's kind of a common failure point on this particular model. So that's been done and haven't had any issues since I replaced it. It's actually the second time that first time I didn't seal it properly, but now it's all good. So that's been done. Let's see. And of course, like I mentioned, you still have the switch out here to turn it on and off, but you can also do it inside. It's basically like an inline switch. Here you've got your security cameras, plus while you're driving, you can observe your left and right with that little display that is wireless. And as we work ourselves down this side, of course, you've got the 5-gallon jug that I mentioned, but check out in here, we've got, notice a water manifold, a zoned water manifold, so that if you're having problems with a specific zone, you can cut those off, and they're all labeled real nicely. And then you're probably wondering, well, there's only 7 there, 3 hot, 4 cold. There's obviously more fixtures than that. Well, I did it by zone. So then you'll also see, if you look carefully, some shutoffs for every single fixture. And again, everything's labeled. So you'll see shower, bidet, everything. Over here, we've got a nice, much quieter pump that runs the 5-gallon jug, so you don't hear that. It's very, very quiet now when it's running. And I think that's just about everything. Back here, there is an electric, I believe it's a 700-watt heater designed with freeze protection in mind. So in the wintertime, I never winterize my RV. I actually rely on this guy right here, all electric, to force heat all in this basement. There's a hole in the frame right there where the drop frame is, and it basically pushes hot air back into the main area of the frame enough to keep it above freezing. So I don't have to worry about that, and it's all electric, very efficient, no propane involved. course, you notice that there's a sliding access panel here, so it's super easy to get access there in a hurry. And same with these right here. You can real quickly get access to everything there. All right. And then we've got kind of an enhanced wet bed here with some soap and nice little gooseneck there. Makes it a little bit easier while you're on the road. And then I did want to point out, this has the equalizer leveling 6-point. They switched to just the Lippert system, I believe 22 at some point. And so what's nice about the equalizer is, first of all, if you've never seen these in person, these jacks are enormous. And I forget the capacities, but they are way overrated. And in my opinion, these are just a little bit beefier than the Lippert version. In fact, I've noticed a lot of the really heavier, high-end fifth wheels, you know, Lux and stuff, they only use equalizers. So I think that says something about them. They're really heavy duty there. And I believe that's pretty much everything there. I'll just mention a few things. You've got some basic conveniences like an extra valve there on your dump valve and a little inspection window. Place to put your sewer hose, a second one at least, over there. The main one is all the way down on the corner. I'll show you that here in just a minute. But yeah, I think that's most of the stuff. Let me hop around here and just show you the back there. And then I'll mention one other thing that I think is a really big selling point. So you've got storage there. This is where if you option the SantaCon, where it would come out of, but it also doubles as just sewer storage. Of course, you got your power cord reel as well. And I'll just mention all the water lines under here are insulated. You can see the ice line that runs to the refrigerator. So that's kind of nice. So you don't have to worry about that freezing up. But let me mention one other thing here. You'll notice that the RV is covered. And this is how I store it. Pretty much, you know, we would use this maybe, I would say at most 40 days out of a year, okay? And so then the rest of its life, it's been stored under here. And it's kind of nice because it only gets a little bit of sun from the east in the mornings, right here in the front, and that's it. You know, once about 10, 11 o'clock, the sun completely is off the rig, and it kind of goes around the back of the barn. And so one thing you'll notice is, look how shiny this front cap is, but even looking down the fiberglass walls, I mean, it is super shiny. I don't think the video is going to do it justice, but that's because the sun hasn't had an opportunity to bake, you know, the decals or bake the wall. So it looks like brand new still. I'll put some footage up of the roof as well, and you'll just see, you know, it looks really clean. The roof and even the sealant, it doesn't have that dirty, dingy look because, again, it's protected. It doesn't sit out in the rain. Things aren't dropping on it constantly, and the sun isn't baking it. So I think that's a really big selling point. All right, well, that was a mouthful. I'm just about out of breath, but I was trying to do that really quickly because I know everybody wants their information very quick these days. But basically, just wanted to give you an idea of why I think this fifth wheel is a better choice, especially if you're in the market for a fifth wheel, let alone a mid-bunk, but why I think it's a better choice than maybe even buying a new 2024. You know, if you think about all the time and effort and then the money for the parts to make all those different modifications combined, all that's done for you. And really the goal in doing all those modifications was to have something that's very seamless, right? That takes some of the nuisances, the annoyances out of the camping experience. So hopefully I covered everything in that video. If you do have any questions, please do contact me, but message me through the ad on RV Trader just for privacy reasons. Don't comment below if you're interested. Of course, if you have questions, you can comment below, but if you're interested as a buyer, please do message me on the RV Trader website, and I'd be glad to answer any of your questions. But as always, thanks for watching.